So we are going to go back to the Harry video now. So as you recall, this was a case of a single case reversal design. It was also a sort of hidden multiple baseline across behavior designs, and we'll see exactly why I call that a hidden one today. And again, it was treating a patient with self-injurious behavior. Okay, so just to recap, Harry had just self-abused. The consequence was that his restraints were taken away for 5 minutes. So this treatment day here began with a baseline period where they had no treatment instituted for Harry. They took him out of restraints and there was no consequences for self-abuse, and they measured how much does he self-abuse. This gives them a level against which to compare their treatment. They are now in the treatment phase, and the treatment phase is that they take his restraints off, and he can earn his restraints back by completing a task. And if he self-abuses during that task, they take the restraints away for 5 minutes. So that is the treatment that they've instituted, and now we're going to see if that treatment causes a decrease in his self-abusive behavior. Okay, so just real quick right now, notice that Harry, one of the other behaviors, and this is going to tie into the multiple baseline across behaviors design, one of the other behaviors that Harry exhibited that they wanted to reduce was this intimidation factor where he got really close into the face of the experimenter. So you can see that he's right up there, right in Dr. Fox's face. But notice that Dr. Fox is not doing anything about that at this point in time. Dr. Fox is not really telling Harry, look, get out of my face. He's not really telling Harry, look, there's going to be consequences if you get into my face. He's just kind of letting it go. He's just kind of saying, you know, you're not going to get your restraints. We're going to play some ball. So notice how that changes later on when they decide to treat that behavior.
The
counting was replaced by the ball throwing activity because Harry was spending increasing amounts of time out of restraints, which was our goal. As a result, we needed to employ more complex activities in order to keep him appropriately occupied. Also, catching the ball gave him something appropriate to do with his hands.
Where are you going to throw the ball? To your mouth. That's right. Now you catch it. I want you to catch it, but go your hands. You don't catch it, I'll leave it. No. Good. Catch, Harry. Good. Harry. Again. Here you go. Good catch, Harry. Good catch. Ready? Catch it. Good. Catch, Harry. Good throw. Here we go. You ready? Catch. Very good, Harry. You did nice on the ball. Did a good job on the ball. Take them off and hand them to me, please. Just take them off. Take the restraints off. Right now, Harry, or we're leaving the room with the restraints. No. Take them off and hand them to me. Quick. Come on. Quick. Get that restraint off. Hurry up. If I had to take it off, I'm leaving the room. No. Hand it to me, please. Hand it to me. Thank you. I take it off, I'm leaving. No. Get it off. No, hurry up. Take it off. Fine.
All right, so you can see that Harry is now self-abusing, so there will be the consequences of them leaving with the restraints. That's part of the treatment procedure.
Ellie. No, we're leaving because you. No. He does bullshit, Eric. Yeah. Be quiet. Yeah, boy. First of all, I want you to give me that hug. Give me a hug. Ellie.
Asking him to hug me showed him I liked him and that I was not afraid of him, since I placed myself in a vulnerable position by keeping my hands behind my back during the hug. Harry frequently attempted to intimidate people by placing his face near theirs and staring. We decided to treat this non-compliance by not allowing Harry to stare.
Okay, so that is another example of the single sample experimental designs that we were talking about. So they are now starting to treat Harry's close talking, him getting in Dr. Fox's face. So what procedure are they using there? Of the two that we mentioned before, multiple baseline or reversal designs? What is this an example of? What was that? This is an example of multiple baseline. So it's a little bit of a hidden multiple baseline because in this video, they have no point where they're measuring explicitly Harry's close talking. They just mentioned that it's an issue, it's a problem, it's something that they want to deal with. But notice this is like treatment session number 8, I believe. So they started with treatment session number 1. This is now treatment session number 8, and up until this time, they have not treated the close talking. They have not treated the intimidation. So you'll remember when I pointed out in the previous clip where Harry was right in Dr. Fox's face, and Dr. Fox was like, we're going to play some ball, and we're going to, then you can get your restraints. So they weren't treating it. They weren't doing anything about it. And that can be thought of as the baseline period for the close talking, the baseline period for that intimidation tactic. What they're going to do now is now they're going to enter in the treatment phase for the intimidation of close talking. So now it's the end of the baseline phase for the close talking. They're going to now start treating it. And if now the intimidation or close talking decreases, then it's good evidence that it's the actual treatment that's effective and not something else. Because something else on treatment session number 1, if something else was causing Harry's decreased self-abuse, it had just as much of a chance of affecting the self-abuse as it did of affecting that intimidation. So the fact that the treatment for self-abuse caused the self-abuse to go down, but Harry was still getting in Dr. Fox's face and trying to intimidate him. But then, as we're going to see, once Dr. Fox starts treating the intimidation goes down. The fact that those two behaviors only decrease when they're specifically being treated is multiple baseline across behaviors evidence that it's the treatment that is causing the change in behavior and not some other factors. All right, so they are now going to begin, they're going to continue treating the self-injury, but now they're also going to start treating the close talking.
You understand me? Yeah. You can walk with your fight? Yeah. Now you're going out like that, or I don't give you the ball, now you back off. Right.
Okay, so you can see right there, he's no longer allowing Harry to get close into his face. And he's saying the consequence is we're not going to continue on with you earning your restraints until you step away. We're not going to do this until you back off. Whereas before, they were just more than willing to let the intimidation go.
Quietly take the ball over, then we'll go get the chair and the table, and then you can have your restraints. Belly. That's right. Belly. Harry, got him over here. If you don't step away, I'm going to talk to you. As soon as you put the chair you. You're welcome. I need that restraint. Hand it to me. Hand it to me. Get your hands on your head. Come on. You can go out with me and we'll get the restraints. We're good to chair a little ways away. No, this way. Hold my hands. If you ask me to hold your hands, I'm leaving. Now, if you want to earn those restraints, if you want to get your cuffs back, and you want to go to the TV room, and you're going to do what I say, you understand? Yes. And that says, do not ask me to hold your hand. That says, you're going to do the work that I want you to do. You understand me? Yeah. All right. Okay, let's pick a book. Would you like a sip of Coke before we get started? Yes. Like a little drink? What do you say? Please.
We had now gone 7 hours since the beginning of the baseline that morning. Harry was growing tired and had received the consequences often enough so that he was beginning to behave quite appropriately. Accordingly, we tried to make the session task more interesting and to reinforce his appropriate behavior with Cokes and pretzels. We've been flying by the seat of our pants during each session since we decided what to do with Harry on a moment-to-moment basis. In effect, we took what Harry would give us.
Yourself a little. I want you to pour some into there. Just a little, that's enough. I can't talk to you if you're staring.
All right, so this is one of my favorite interactions where multiple times Dr. Fox treats the intimidation, close talking, and just will not continue until Harry backs away. So again, it shows you that the baseline for the intimidation talking is over, and now they're in the treatment phase.
Now, we will work a couple of. We will work a couple of pages, and then we'll have some Coke and pretzels. Yes. Is that okay? Ellie, I'll help you. On my end, I'll help you with your work. I don't hold people's hands. I only hold hands with my girlfriends. All right, you ready? You know what this is? Page that I want you to point to them and say what they are. I want you to go down. Oh, pigs and cats. Stop. Let me see you do it. Pig, cat, duck. Excellent. Very good. Let's have a little sip of cat. Would you like 4-year-old? Big one. You want a big one? Yeah. Do you think you've earned a big one? Yes. You sincerely believe that? Yes. You can pour yourself a little more. I think I might have one of those. Can I have one of Coke too? Is it all right if I have one of Coke? Yeah. Would you pour it for me though? Would you pour me this little Coke? And then we'll work a page. And then we're going to leave. Yeah. One more page. That's good. That's plenty. Thank you. Thank you very much. Here's to you. Here's looking at you, kid. Cheers. After we touch cups, you're supposed to take a drink too. Watch like this, okay? Now take a drink. And then we're going to skip cups, and then then we're going to go to the TV room. All right? That sounds good? Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good. Sounds good, right? Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, let's work this page. Are you going to give me a hug before we leave? Yeah. You feel like giving me a hug? Yeah. Okay. Am I your friend? Yeah. I am your friend, you know that. But I'm not your friend when you're doing this. Do you like me to do this to you? I mean, no. Well, then why do you do that to me? It doesn't feel nice to do this, does it? It's silly. It's crazy. Some crazy people do. You're not crazy. So keep your face away from me. Because I don't want to do it to you all the time. You do it to me. Which becomes silly. Can I, well, that's toast of the day. It was a good day, huh? Bottoms up. Was too long. It was too long? It was a long day. I agree. I agree completely. It was a hell of a long day. Wasn't it? You bet. No. That was a real day. It was dry. Real bitch of the day. You know, right? Well, my ready to get that class. Sure. Let's go get them. You ready? Go get them. They're all yours. Tell me. Can you put the cup down here, though? You got the cup in your hand. Tell me. You have a cup in your hand. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. I don't like to mess with cups. I think you should do it. See, I don't like to, so I don't like to touch them. Tell me. You can do it. Tell me.
At the end of the first treatment day, I knew it would not be necessary to use level 2, the full restraint procedure, or level 3, the electric shock procedure.
Oh, I forgot one thing. What did we forget? What's the one thing we forgot? Oh, God. Of course. Okay. Yeah, it is. Bye-bye, Eric. I'll see you around. Yeah. Bye-bye.
I could not arrange to work with Harry until 2 weeks later. We began the second program day with a very brief return to baseline to determine if Harry's self-abuse would be high when there were no consequences.
So this return to baseline now is the reversal part of the reversal design. So they had the baseline phase where they just allowed Harry to self-abuse with no consequences. Then they instituted the consequences for his self-abuse, taking away the restraints. You earn the restraints back by not self-abusing. And now to begin this second treatment day, they're going to go back to baseline. So they're going to remove the consequences. They're not going to take Harry's restraints away if he self-abuses. They're not going to put him in timeout for 5 minutes. They're going to remove those consequences, and they're going to see what his self-abuse is like. So in the baseline, they showed that he had a high stable rate of self-abuse. After the first day of treatment, self-abuse went down to the point where he spent over 17 minutes out of restraints with no self-abuse. So the rate of self-abuse went far down during the treatment phase. Now what they want to do is they want to remove the consequences and see what happens to the rate of abuse. If the rate of abuse stays low, then that indicates that it's not the consequences that were causing the change in behavior. It was something else, some other factor caused that change in behavior. And it could be something as simple as just Dr. Fox. Maybe Harry finds Dr. Fox quite intimidating. Maybe people with beards just cause him to not self-abuse. It could be any kind of reason, given the wild and wonderful nature of our minds. So we want to see if the rate of self-abuse is low still when the consequences are removed. That means that it's something else. That means that it's back to the drawing board for Dr. Fox. If, on the other hand, once they remove the consequences in this return to baseline, self-abuse goes back up to baseline levels, then that's an indication that it is the consequences, nothing else, that is causing that change in behavior. And then if that's the case, they implement the consequences again to reduce and treat Harry's self-injurious behavior. So let's take a look at what happens and see which one of those cases. Is it the treatment or is it the something else?
If it was, we would have demonstrated that earning the restraints and the timeout consequence had produced the experimental or treatment effect, rather than some other extraneous or unaccounted for variables. Harry's high rate of self-abuse during baseline confirmed that the treatment consequences were responsible for his lack of self-abuse during treatment.
All right, so right there you can see return to baseline, self-abuse comes back at that high stable rate. What that means is that they now can show with very high confidence, very good evidence, that it is the treatment that is causing the decrease in self-abuse. And that's important because, as you're going to see, not only do they continue to treat Harry in this case study here, but then they also instruct his family, they instruct his the social workers, they instruct the caregivers on that treatment protocol. They instruct them with the consequences and how to interact with Harry. And they basically say, we have identified this treatment as being effective. And we now want you to do this for Harry for the rest of his life so that he will remain, self-abuse free. And you can only do that ethically as a psychologist if you have identified that it was your treatment that was effective. If you did not identify that, you run the risk of setting up this program with the parents, with the caregivers, with the social workers, and basically sabotaging them and Harry because your program is ineffective. And as soon as that something else changes, he's going to go back to self-abuse and be probably worse off than before because now they're going to think, oh, he's untreatable.
After the return to baseline, we were ready to resume the treatment sessions. In addition to requiring Harry to spend increasingly longer periods of time out of restraints, we wanted to fade out those 2 feet long, heavy mental institutional restraints and to replace them with a soft elbow pad such as that worn by skateboarders. When Harry was given these new restraints, which he had never seen before, he was told that his old restraints had been thrown away and that he would never be able to have them again. He would simply have to accept these new restraints. What we had hoped to do was to fade these soft restraints by cutting them each day so that they got smaller and smaller till eventually they would resemble a sleeve garter. At that point, we would attempt to eliminate all forms of restraint. Harry didn't like the new soft restraints. Being very adaptable, he figured out a way to defeat the program by once again placing his arms in his pants as a form of self-restraint. Our program was at the crossroads. This self-restraint presented us with a major problem because he was either self-abusing and or refusing to take his arms out of his pants. To solve this problem, we put Harry in a jumpsuit that had the pockets sewn shut. After testing the pockets, Harry began unzipping the front of the jumpsuit and self-restraining. To stop that, we had Harry wear the jumpsuit backwards and we pinned the zipper so that he could not remove it. He didn't like the jumpsuit and would self-abuse while wearing it. He continued to try to find a way to self-restrain in the jumpsuit, but of course his efforts were frustrated. After several hours, Harry finally accepted the jumpsuit and the new soft restraints. At that point, we told him that he'd earned his way out of the small treatment room. After a walk up to the administration building to shake hands with the superintendent, we took him to McDonald's for lunch and followed that with a trip to the 7-Eleven store.
Harry, what's the nice spot that you got at the 7-Eleven?
Oh, good enough to chair.
Right, put it out here. Come here.
All right, so now this is the reinstitutement of the treatment procedure. Now it's at 2 hours and 17 minutes with out of restraints with no self-abuse. So they demonstrated that the treatment was effective. They've now implemented the treatment. And as we're going to see in the finale of this video, they basically continue to modify this treatment so that it becomes less and less obvious that he has restraints. And then eventually, Dr. Fox steps away from the treatment and hands it off to other individuals, other caretakers, other mental health providers. And it is, again, vitally important that Dr. Fox was able to identify, yes, it is a treatment, because you're giving this to other people to implement, and you need to make sure that your treatment is actually effective.
Good catch, Gary.
Hey, Harry.
Well, we're really cooking now. The second 8-hour treatment day ended with a rousing success. Harry had spent 2 hours and 17 minutes out in the community and free of restraints and without self-abusing. Unfortunately, shortly thereafter, Harry developed a serious foot infection and was hospitalized for approximately 6 weeks. Upon his discharge from the hospital, he began holding objects in his hands since he refused to wear the soft restraints. He was not self-abusing, but this new form of self-restraint was unacceptable since he refused to let go of the objects or to participate in activities. Once again, we were in a quandary concerning what to do. The answer came when he returned from an outing that he had earned with his parents for not self-abusing. During that outing, Harry's parents had taken him to a restaurant where he began self-restraining by holding drinking glasses full of water in each hand. He really seemed to like the glasses and requested them when he returned to the institution. Following the basic rule of taking what the client gives you, we decided to eliminate the use of the soft arm restraints and to fade those glasses. To fade the glasses, we decided to begin systematically substituting smaller and smaller glasses until we reached a point where we were using small plastic juice glasses. We planned to cut them in half and to keep cutting them until they got smaller and smaller till all Harry had to hold were the rims of the glasses.
All right, so this is a modification that I was talking about the treatment, but this is still the same treatment. So now the juice glasses or the drinking glasses there are Harry's version of restraints. And what they would still do at this point, you're going to notice Dr. Fox isn't there, but what they've done is they've instructed other individuals to have Harry hand over the glasses, and if he completes a task without self-abusing, you give him the glasses back. But if Harry self-abuses during that task, you take the glasses away for 5 minutes. So it's the same treatment procedure. It's just now the glasses have been substituted actually by Harry for the restraints that they previously used.
Take a sip out of your glasses, Harry. Okay, Harry, you want to take a sip out of that? Take a sip out of your glasses.
Hey, guys. Hold on to these, okay? Those are juice glasses cut in half, Harry. Okay?
Yeah.
You like them?
Yes.
You do? You want to hold on to those from now on?
No. Big ones.
Oh, you don't need big ones. We have the other ones.
Okay. There you go.
Now the water taste, okay?
Yeah. Too small.
Not that small.
Got plenty of water in this thing.
You like those?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are what you're gonna have from now on, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. They still have water in them and everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're a lot easier to carry, okay?
Yeah.
Once Harry was holding the rims, we eliminated them and taught him to self-restrain when he felt agitated by interlocking his fingers in an appropriate fashion. Also, we gave him a wristwatch to wear as an appropriate form of arm restraint.
Where's Dr. Fox?
All right, so I'll pause there. This is just a brief aside, but just to kind of show you the importance of what we're doing here. Why are we here? So when you take a look at Harry's treatment, how people treated Harry, without psychological knowledge, the person who was the meanest to Harry, the person who was the absolute worst to Harry, The person who basically bullied Harry was, in this scenario, Dr. Fox. I mean, there's no way of getting around it. Harry loved one thing in his life. He loved his restraints. What did Dr. Fox say? He said, I'm taking those restraints. Harry then had to jump through hoops to get his restraints, right? Dr. Fox was basically saying, I have your restraints, and if you want them, you better count to 100 or I'm taking them away, right? It's literally bully behavior, right? It's literally what you would find on a schoolyard, when people were doing, if bullies were doing that kind of behavior. And yet, psychologically, it was the treatment protocol. And if you delve into Harry more, if you take my introduction to psychology class, we go over this video as well. It was Harry's well-meaning parents that tried their best, but did not know the psychological principles underlying behavior and made Harry worse. So they tried their best and actually ended up increasing Harry's self-abuse to levels that required him to be institutionalized because they loved Harry and they cared for Harry. And then you get somebody like Dr. Fox, who looks like the meanest individual in the world from the outset, right? You have one thing you love, restraints, I'm taking them away. You want them back, you better do what I say. That's a horrible person to the normal society. As psychologists, we know that he's implementing these treatments and he's eventually going to help Harry into self-abuse. And I just love to see this scene here because as horrible as Harry must have thought Dr. Fox is, there's some acknowledgement, there's something deep inside where he knows that Dr. Fox has done this wonderful thing for him, and he's literally saying, where's Dr. Fox? Where is this guy that cared for me and that I actually care for? And it's just my little bit of an aside why we're here. It's not enough to have compassion and care for people if you don't know what you're doing. Harry's parents had compassion and care for him. They inadvertently, I hate to say this, they made him worse. They made Dr. Fox's job harder. And you can clearly tell that Dr. Fox cares for Harry. I mean, he kept asking him for hugs and make sure that, and I don't think you can put up with that day. There's not enough money in the world if you don't care for these individuals. But you need to have the techniques and the knowledge and the theories that we're developing here. And importantly, for this class, you need to know that the treatment worked. Because as well-being as you are, if you hand Harry off to other people and say, hey, here's this treatment and it's ineffective, you are going to make the end result so much worse for a person like Harry.
There's a major question that must be asked regarding any successful treatment program. Is the treatment effect maintained after the program is turned over to the staff and parents? In Harry's case, the answer was very gratifying.
All right, so in Harry's case, notice they turned the treatment program over to the staff and to the parents. Was it going to be effective? In Harry's case, it was very gratifying. Yes, it was effective. It was going to be effective because they had demonstrated through reversal and multiple baseline procedures that it was a treatment that was effective. It wasn't something else. It wasn't Dr. Fox. It was the actual treatment. So when they handed over the treatment, they would have high confidence that, yes, it's going to continue to be effective.
All right, very good, Eric.
Maintaining Harry's behavior change for the past 2 years has been an ongoing process. Being bright and adaptable, Harry continues to display non-compliant behavior on occasion to test his family and the institutional staff.
I asked for pretzels, Eric.
I got some pretzels, Jim.
Okay.
As a result, they have had to remain very consistent and contingent with Harry, and to continue to try to provide him with challenging, stimulating activities and tasks. Because of their efforts, Harry has continued to make progress, whereas my own involvement with him has been reduced to that of an occasional advisor. As for Harry, the past 2 years have taught him that there are exciting alternatives to self-abuse in the wearing of bizarre restraints. He is becoming more independent and appropriate, as evidenced by his growing of a beard and choosing eyeglasses as his preferred form of restraint. Once Harry accepted appropriate forms of restraint, he was ready to begin participating in a variety of normal, highly reinforcing activities, such as working at the institution's vocational center. To maintain Harry's interest in these activities, he is paid tokens after he completes them. He then uses the things as visits home, TV time, and treats. Through this token program, we hope to accomplish our ultimate goal of having Harry live in the community. There is no mystery concerning why treatment programs such as Harry's succeed. Meaningful and long-lasting behavioral change occurs when a professional works directly with the staff and client during the initial program stages. When family, staff, and administrative cooperation is maximal, when everyone cares and commits to the program, and when the program remains flexible by evolving with the client's progress.
All right, so I'll let the credits run just to wrap this up. But any questions about what we just watched? Reversal design, multiple baseline designs, anything like that? It's all good. All right. Yeah. Wow. So just as a sort of final wrap up to this, that the change that occurred in Harry because of these psychological techniques. And again, it's always good to remember why we're here. What are we doing here? What is this all about? And the change that he had came after 25 years of self-abuse. So for a quarter of a decade, this individual was self-abusing themselves. And within the space of a few months, Dr. Fox reduced that self-abuse down far enough to so that within the space of a couple of years, they had Harry enter the vocational program. They had Harry enter into their educational program. So literally knowing what to do, knowing the techniques, using these experimental techniques to isolate the fact that a treatment is actually working can undo the change is amazing. It's 25 years of self-abuse, and within the span of a couple of months, it's reduced almost to nil, and within the span of a couple of years, they've gotten Harry to the point where they're training him up. So again, I love showing this film. I'll keep showing it until forever's. But anyways, it's just, again, this indication of why is it that we do what we do? What is this all about? So again, just a nice illustration, single case reversal design, multiple baseline across behaviors, and just a great indication of what psychology can do.